My aim is to find out which of these two countries is releasing the most CO2 and what their plans are in the future to reduce their CO2 emissions. First, I'm going to talk about Canada and how much carbon dioxide they're releasing. Then, I'm going to talk about the same thing, but instead of Canada, I will talk about Sweden. I will also talk about the future plan these two countries have. At last, I will make a summary of everything. This is Canada. Canada has a population of 35.8 million inhabitants and an area of 9,985 million square kilometers, making it the second largest planet on Earth. This is Sweden. Sweden has a population of 9.8 million inhabitants and an area of 447,435 square kilometers. Canada. As I said before, Canada is the second largest country in the whole world, but how environmentally friendly are they? According to measurements that were released a few years ago, was showing how much carbon dioxide all the countries was producing, and Canada was the place in 13th place. They were releasing 4.75 billion tons of carbon dioxide in 1 year, which shockingly was a big improvement if compared with the year 2000, when they were ranked in 8th place and were releasing 5.34 billion tons. After World War II, Canada almost had a steady increase in fossil fuel combustion until 2000, when they began to release less and less each year. In 2011, Canada accounted for about 2% of the world's emission and decided to jump off something called the Kyoto Protocol, which is a protocol that limits national greenhouse gas emissions. This decision made many countries worried about the future. Similar measurements as the one in Canada also were made in Sweden. Sweden was placed as the 66th country because we only released 44 million tons of carbon dioxide, which also was an improvement from 2000 when we released 49 millions. Sweden's greenhouse gas emissions are among the lowest in EU and the OECD. Irrespective whether you count per person or emission as a percent of BNP. A very important reason for the low emission is that Swedish electric production is almost completely free from fossil fuels. Sweden has a large foreign trade. This means that we're both affecting and being affected by increasingly global trade-off between world countries. The climate effect emissions from our imports represent a large and growing share of the total consumption-based emissions. Canada's future. 2 years ago, a new government in Canada was voted in. They were aiming to lower Canada's total carbon dioxide emissions. Party leader Justin Trudeau said at the summit in Paris that Canada is back. We will make the climate issue one of our top priority issues. He has started negotiations with the powerful provincial governments, among other things the province of Alberta, which extracts a large amount of oil sands, have now said yes to introduce a tax on carbon dioxide emissions. The Canadian government also wants to introduce a price of carbon dioxide emissions. From 2018, 1 ton will cost 10 Canadian dollars, which will increase by $10 a year to 2022. Sweden's future. At our universities, pioneering and relevant researching is being conducted. Sweden also has natural conditions with long coasts, good wind conditions, and good solar radiation as Germany, large water coasts, and many forests, which gives us unique opportunities to take responsibility for renewable energy. Researchers have estimated that by 2050 Sweden can handle our entire energy supply of housing, transport and industry with renewable energy alone, which is extremely good for the environment. Nowadays, there's a lot of truck in our country. Our government is in process of establishing a new law that will make the truck companies pay tear injuries on the roads. This can result in smaller amount of truck drivers on our roads, which also reduces emissions. Summary: if you count how much carbon dioxide Sweden released in 1 year and then compare it with Canada, you will notice how much more Canada's emissions are. The reason for this is because Canada is a much bigger country than Sweden. Instead, we can measure how much a normal person in Sweden and in Canada releases and then compare these two results. A normal person in Sweden emits about 4.62 tons of carbon dioxide per year, while a normal person in Canada releases 13.5 tons per year. Which is about 3 times as much as a Swedish person. I think that the reason that Sweden has so much lower emission than Canada is because we began much earlier to research on different theories that would reduce our emissions. We are still putting more annual resources on installing new and better tools that allow us to produce green energy. Thank you for listening.